say, first of all, it's 7 o'clock on September 27th, and it is the beginning of the Framingham Public Access Corporation annual meeting. I would like to welcome everyone who has joined us tonight and say that we appreciate you being here for this annual event, where we will talk about how the last year has been for Framingham Public Access Corporation. I will give a report. Our treasurer will give a report. Scott Mercer, our executive director, is going to be talking about the status of the station and the operations. We'll show you some videos so that you can get an idea of the programming that has been created here at Access Framingham and at Framingham Education TV studio housed at the Framingham High School. Then we're going to introduce the candidates for who've been nominated to serve on the board of directors. And then before the meeting is over, we're going to announce who the volunteer of the year is and receiving the Bill Rapkin Volunteer of the Year Award. We hope to be finished with the meeting in just about an hour. So we will move right along, and thank you again for being here. As we get started, though, I think it's really important for us all to remember why we're here and what it is that we're trying to achieve and accomplish on a regular basis here at Access Framingham. So I thought it was important to share with you again that the mission of Access Framingham is really to engage the public, serve and enrich the community, developing the programming that keeps the people of Framingham connected, that provides educational opportunities, and really facilitates an exchange of ideas and information, not just through TV, but really through new media as well. Because as you know, media serves a vital role in providing information and communications. And so we try every day to stay true to the mission of Access Framingham. This year was unlike any other year. And obviously putting that mask up there sends the message loud and clear and it reminds all of us what we've been through and what we're still going through. This has been the year of COVID. It's the year when everything in our lives changed. It's the year when everything at Access Framingham changed. There's really not much that didn't change. And it wasn't always easy. But the community during this period of a pandemic and during this period of COVID needed us more than ever to stay connected, because everybody was in their homes, and even people who were never connected electronically before became connected. And they became connected using technology that most people had never used before. And it became important for us to get information to people using their devices. And the people who were used to programming on Access Framingham, used to doing that in the studio and bringing guests in and coming in and picking up equipment and going out and doing shoots and being in crowds, couldn't do that anymore. So everything had to be kind of reinvented and rediscovered and really just reoriented so that we could continue to fulfill that mission that we just shared and connect the community. And during that time, a lot of people suffered personal hardships. There were people whose lives changed forever, people right here, people in our broader community among our member base, our producers, people who experienced an illness in their families, people who experienced illnesses themselves or lost jobs or hardship because of this pandemic, a difficulty accessing food, the threat to losing housing. This was not a stable year at all. And we had to really rise up and adjust, sit back and for a while, reflect, and just figure out how to be a vital service to the community during a time like this. And we did that. At first, it was a period of uncertainty, and we weren't really aware of what we were going to do. But then over time, we just grabbed everything and said, okay, this is what we need to do to move forward. And we need to figure out new ways. We need to set up appointments so that people can meet us at the door to pick up their equipment. We need to clean the equipment and keep it in isolation, for a period of time to make sure that it's germ-free and ready to move on to the next person. We need to staff up and open up eventually and make sure that the air is clean and that we have all the supplies that we need and that we're not putting people in a crowded situation. So we really did look to change the way that we did things. We looked to accommodate the change in our world, and at the same time to just continue to provide valuable service. And of course, in doing all of that, all of that we had to do, one thing that is the backbone of the organization has a lot to do with our finances and how much, how do we support the resources that we need? How do we make sure that we're a stable organization? So now I'm going to turn it over to Mahmood Akhtar, our treasurer. And Mahmood, who has done an amazing job, and I have to say, he makes my job as president so much easier. I don't know how to do it without him. Mahmood, thank you so much for your excellent work here as our treasurer. And thank you for giving us an overview of our finances. I'll turn it over to you now.
Thank you, Audrey. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Mahmood Akhtar, and I'm the treasurer of Framingham Public Access Corporation. And as Audrey mentioned, there were several challenges that the organization had to face in order to adjust and make the necessary changes so that we continue to be of service to the community. Just a quick briefing, if you will, on the way we are set up. Most of you probably know, but I'll still go through this. We are an independent 501c3 nonprofit corporation. We are funded by the cable subscribers and members. The city is able to collect a fee, and we get part of that. The third thing, of course, is the Framingham Public Access Corporation manages two stations. One is the AFTV, and the other is the Educational Access, which is produced by folks at the school, but we manage that particular organization. Okay, I'm going to give you a brief summary, and I'll just start with the balance sheet. Our operating cash is $772,792. This has improved from last year, primarily because due to COVID, we did not spend as much as we would normally during an operating year for various things. We have not spent much in this at all right now. Again, the board had to take some actions because we did not know what the COVID situation will result in our revenue stream. So now we do have CDs worth about $425,412. These are all CDs in two different banks. So the cash total is about $1,374,438. We also have an accounts payable, which is really, that's what we're calling the franchise fees due. This is the money that we receive from the school on a monthly basis, and we also invoice the city to get our share of what the city receives from the cable providers. On the fixed asset side, the numbers really have not changed that much in terms of equipment, leasehold improvement. Pretty much, we haven't done much, only because again we had to make sure that we were firm on the revenue aspect of our organization. So we have a total asset base of about $1,810,000. If you go to the other side of the ledger, which is the liability, we have payables of about $41,678, and we have a net equity of $1,768,544, which puts it at a stable financial situation. We want you all to know that the board is very, very vigilant about our revenue stream and our expenses. On the expenses side, we spent less than last year at this time. On the facilities side, also we had some savings because we did receive some discounts from our landlord and on both the rent and the utilities. So there's some savings there. And all other operating also, as I said, because of COVID, we did not spend as much as we had planned. So our total expenses are $361,480, which is less than last year, but that is because of the COVID. Now we are coming back into operations, so we should our burn rate, if you want to put it that way, should get back to the normal. I will now turn it over to Audrey.
Thank you so much, Mahmood. When we look at these numbers and we hear the word stable and, we're in good shape, we have to really look at that in the context of what's happening in the industry, because the revenue side of the industry is very vulnerable. And that vulnerability is why we've been building up our assets as much as we possibly could over the last few years, because revenue is going down. That's the trend for revenue right now, is that it's going down. And the reason why it's going down, as you know, is because people are cutting the cord. And what happens is that the organization is funded solely through cable ratepayers, not through any local taxes, as Mahmood said earlier, not through any money that's just gifted to us by the city. The money comes from people who subscribe to cable. When they pay their bills, there's a charge on their bills that's slotted specifically for public educational and government access television. And when they cut the cord, then that revenue is lost. And a lot of people are moving over to streaming and downloading apps and downloading program. Now, the interesting thing about this is you'll see that when you look at these graphs, FEC TV revenue is stable, and that's because that's by contract. They get from the schools directly. They get money from the cable ratepayers as well, but they pay a portion of that money to us to manage their operation. The money they get from ratepayers may actually go down, but the money they're going to pay to us will stay the same for the length of our agreement with them because it's contractual. So all of this revenue here is funded by cable ratepayers. It's trending down, and Access Framingham is the only media in the city, the only media that is not for profit. All other media is for profit and controlled by commercial enterprise, whether you're getting it from some of the online news sources or whether you're getting it from the newspaper. Those are all for-profit media organizations, commercial enterprises. This is the only not-for-profit media that offers full freedom of speech. Now that's something. I mean, think about how much value freedom of speech has these days. At least here, with public and educational and government access, you get information straight from the people. There was a selectman many, many, many years ago by the name of John King, and he used to always say that, if you use our highways and our byways, if you use our easements to make money, then you should be giving something back to the community. Well, the big dilemma right now is that with people cutting the cord and the money coming solely from subscriptions, what happens when that product usage changes? Here you have a piece of cable. You see the cable comes into your home, and all of the programming that you watch is coming in over that cable, whether it's cable programming, as you see at the top, or whether it's streaming programming. It's coming into your home through this cable, from the cable company. However, if you download and get Netflix or some of these other services by streaming, we don't get any money. If you get it through the cable company like RCN, Comcast, and Verizon, just through a subscription service, like you subscribe to HBO or something, we get a portion of that. This should be equal. And there's a lot of advocating going on around the country right now to try and make this equal. Because if the programming is being delivered to you over the highways and byways of Framingham through the public right of way and the easement, then why should it matter whether it's cable programming or streaming program? They're still using the assets of this community to deliver that programming, and we should still be getting funding from that. And so I'm going to ask you all tonight, and I'm going to go to the next slide, to support some legislation that is actually being considered in Massachusetts right now. And this legislation, which is H2682 in the House and S1857 in the Senate, this is legislation that will compensate public educational and government programming. It will continue to compensate for the use of digital infrastructure in the public rights of way. And so this couldn't, as you can see, as I demonstrated in the prior slide, and as you saw in the slide that Mahmood first put up about the revenue, if we were to get this legislation passed, then the revenue would also come to us through streaming. whereas now it's only coming to us through the subscription programming in cable. So we're just going to ask you to make note of the House and Senate bill numbers and to reach out to your state legislators and ask them to sign on to the bill. And if you want more information about the bill, there is a link in the bottom right here that Mass Access has provided that gives you some talking points and teaches you a little bit more about the legislation that's under consideration right now. But it's really important for all of us to advocate for this so that we protect our resources, our funding, and our stability going forward, which ultimately protects the freedom of speech that we have all come to cherish and value, especially in a society right now where that freedom of speech is very, very limited and controlled primarily by commercial enterprise. Operations like the FPAC do is they take the place of the public square in a community, what used to be known as the public square, where you come and you get updated and you hear about all the comings and goings in your community. Congress recognized that and talks about PEG as taking the place of the public square. And Congress said that communities need a voice, and we know that they need a voice. So asking for your support to help advocate for this. And now I'd like to turn it over to our Executive Director, Scott Mercer, who has been with us now for 6 years, since 2015. And we're very lucky to have him and to know that our operations is in good hands. And Scott, I'd like to ask you now to give us a report on Access Framingham and what the last year has looked like to you and the staff. Thank you.
Thank you, Audrey and Mahmoud. And good evening to the FPAC board, as well as Access members. And I won't get too much into what the last year has been for me, but it's been a challenge, to say the least. But I'm sure it has been for everybody. So I do thank everybody for joining us this evening from the comfort of your home. I just want to say, as Audrey shared, it's been a challenging year for everybody, and we don't have to belabor it, but we actually had to pivot from the facility to home and then back into the facility, obviously, to make sure we did it in a safe manner, as Audrey mentioned earlier. And that was quite the challenge. And, I do want to commend everybody you see on this slide, Frank and Shavarsh and Jared and Michael and Corinne, because they were instrumental in making sure that the channel kept content on the air, made sure that members were able to navigate through the technology challenges, that they had to keep their program on the air, and make sure that over at the school that they were able to continue with programming on FEC TV, as well as students learning remote. Some students probably taught us some skills, but all in all, it was a great community effort and staff effort to make sure, as well as the board, to make sure that the channels both stayed on the air and we adapted to what was going on with the pandemic. So I'm very proud of them. I'm very happy that we made it through and we continue to make it through. We are back in the facility, socially distanced. And as Audrey pointed out, there are a lot of different safety protocols in place. And the only reason I don't have a mask on is because I'm in an isolated studio right now. So with that in mind, I do want you all to very much understand that we appreciate your efforts. And I know you can't clap, but if you could applaud our staff and our board for getting through these difficult times. And with that in mind, I'd like to share a video. I'm hoping it'll come through. Sometimes there's a challenge with technology through live streaming, but I'm going to share a video to give you sort of an overview of what was created over the year. So here we go.
You were the founder, you're the president, you're the coach. Soccer players aren't supposed to have roller skates on, but you must need them sometimes. Yes. 3 towns, Framingham, Canton, Milford. Wow.
Hi, welcome to this episode of Frank and Mary in Framingham. I'm Grace O'Donnell, the Director of Elder Services at the Callahan Center.
I'm Art Bergeron.
These are some odd events happening in our scripture today. And perhaps in looking at the scripture from Samuel, it's something that we would like to do sometimes.
Welcome to the show and thank you for being here.
I don't know if you remember, Audrey, but one of the first things I did as CFO, and my husband just reminded me of this because he came to that event, was to be on your show.
So I've now been a state rep for nearly 5 years, and I am feeling very optimistic in a way that I haven't entirely always felt.
I want people who are listening and our viewers to understand, what is it that drives, what's that passion that made you focus on social work?
A screen printed print that I got in the Netherlands at a Zine Fest in a city called Groningen.
Deus revelou no passado a Moisés, o servo seu, que fosse construído o tabernáculo.
Because of lower consumption and because of COVID-19, the city is facing a deficit or gap.
Thank you, Dan. I want to remind everyone and thank everyone for turning on and tuning in today. We're coming to you live on AFTV.
I've given this talk many, many times before, and it never gets old because it's one of those kind of interesting ones to think about.
Como siempre nos acompaña nuestra querida amiga Charo Mata desde la ciudad. Bueno, ahí no, desde la Ciudad de México, no. Nos acompaña desde...
I've been at Framingham State University for quite a long time, and I was originally from the Boston and Massachusetts area.
Can you tell me, have you seen over the last year and a half an uptick in folks needing services?
These young adults have drive, passion, persistence, and insight that is laudable and inspiring. They've demonstrated maturity.
John said, let us give some recognition to students who are doing good things within their schools and in their community.
Being Mrs. Framingham has kept me busy. There is so much to do. I have learned so much.
Longstone is, I would say, an entrepreneur out of Boston, a father, a hip hop artist.
Before I talk about this slide, I just want to say, if you look at that video, there's some telling signs of the diversity of Framingham, the variety of coverage that we have, and the sign of the times with the masks, people in their kitchen doing remotes. And that's a great reflection of how people actually really were persistent in getting through these difficult times. And I'm so proud of, like I said, the staff and members for getting things done despite the limitations and the challenges we were faced with. I always say, membership is a key to any successful public access channel, and the members here provide such a support to Access Framingham. Their creation of content and desire to express topics that are important to them and their neighbors is what makes AFTV so valuable as a community asset. With these individuals, they all come from different backgrounds. They all have different economic challenges, et cetera. And what's great about us is that we're providing these different tiered memberships that allow pretty much anybody to come in here and participate and engage. The value of that dollar to them is demonstrated in their benefits. They receive professional hands-on training, and they get to use professional production equipment. And I think that more people, not just in Framingham, but in general, that when they come into a public access station are really blown away that they weren't aware of the assets and the resources that are available to them. And I can tell you from a national level of the industry. That's something that we continue to fight and struggle to get people to understand the value of it. But we do very well here in Framingham. We want to do better and get more involved. And, again, these are some of the benefits that I think are invaluable for people who are interested in getting involved and engaged. We've talked about COVID, extensively. And so some of the pivots that we did in terms of being able to make sure that we remained, a valuable asset to the community was to create these live on-screen crawls that were giving updates on whether it be the numbers as to who was infected and or unfortunately passed on, but also the information from the city of Framingham, the state, nationally, health departments. And we continue to run those throughout the day to make sure that anybody watching the channel was going to be informed and have information. The other piece was our community bulletin board, which, is a valuable asset to nonprofits who are also trying to reach their constituents and the community to share their resources and how people can actually not only utilize those resources, but get involved in supporting the community through their nonprofit organization. And then, of course, we did keep everybody informed by expanding the reach of the government channel, which was actually, producing the community hour by the mayor, which was giving those updates, and added it to our channel as well as FEC TV, so to make sure that we cover the entire community and all generations and ages. So it's just another demonstration of the versatility and the ability to adapt in technology. These are some of the member-produced programs that, again, they continue to find creative ways to do the programming, especially during COVID. And you can see there's quite a variety of types of programming. In addition to member programming, this is a staff produced and sort of engaged with the volunteer membership, is Beyond the Beat. And, it used to be the Framingham Beat, but due to scheduling and time and all of those variables that impact production, we decided that we wanted to continue to cover all the events we could possibly do. And I just want to really point out that our AFTV field production coordinator, Frank Morello, works very hard to get around town. And I would say if there's anybody that is synonymous with AFTV, it's Frank Morello, because Frank is everywhere all the time. He's professional and he does a great job. He works hard. He works with volunteer members who are available to actually go out and shoot and learn how to edit and learn how to use the cameras and make sure that we are representing the community of Framingham. And if you look at the next couple of slides I'm going to share, it's quite the volume for you to see the kind of work that Frank is doing and other volunteer members. I really want you to understand the hours, the thousands of hours that go into putting these productions together, making sure all of these organizations are spotlighted and making sure that the community is aware of those organizations. This is really Frank's, I say his baby, but also, his love, because as you see him out in the community, that he's going to give it his all and bring it back and make sure it gets on the air. And we get continual feedback from those organizations about how grateful they are. And then, once they are on the channel, just so it's a benefit to those organizations because they use that to let people know about their organization. And that obviously helps people understand that Access Framingham is out there providing this type of service. These are specials programming. And just a quick note on those is that what happens here is any of the events that are covered, if there's a lot more footage and a lot more to the event, then what we try to do is make sure that we capture the entire program, not just a snippet to tell the community about it, but also to really highlight that particular event. One of the things that, obviously we have many ways to communicate, many ways to engage. This is a very good way to get involved. Even if you don't have the time to come in and learn how to edit or shoot or what have you, it'd be great if you can follow and like us and you can share what we're doing with the community, but also stay engaged through social media. We also have our monthly newsletter. What we try to do in our newsletter is provide all the activity that has occurred over that month and then what's to look forward to and spotlight the different highlighted events and individuals that are participating and partnering with Access Framingham. And as Audrey alluded to, as did Mahmoud, we do a lot of work with the Framingham public school system. Dr. Tremblay's a great advocate of us. We just signed that 3-year deal with the agreement to continue to manage the Framingham Education Channel. And it's Michael Goodman and Corinne Palmer, who you see here on this slide, who are over there doing the hard work of making sure that students are learning production, making sure that the content on the channel is on the channel and the channel is running, smoothly. And then also working with the students to help them learn and produce their own programming creatively. There are TV classes that are taken, but Michael and Corinne are the ones making sure that any information is getting out to the public that or on the channel through the education channel. Before I share some of their highlights, I just wanted to show their year in review that Corinne put together with Michael, so that you get a sense of what they had to do and the challenges they faced during COVID.
First up on today's show, Finn Shea brings us an update on entertainment.
After that, Ryan brings us an update on the new songs that were recently released.
And then we have a local update on 9/11.
All that and more coming up on today's show of Fly News.
For Flyer News, this has been Colby Beck. Let's take it back to the desk.
Good morning, Flyers, and welcome back to the Early Bird. Alongside me, as always, is the man, Mr. Shea Curry.
Good morning, Matthew.
Or watch this and other broadcasts under the FEC TV tab on the school's website or on our YouTube channel. For Flyer News, this has been Jacob Cohen.
And I'm Zachary Clayton. Be sure to stay tuned for the Early Bird starring Griffin Yarmaloff, and there's also Shea right after the show, and have a great Tuesday, FHS.
Goes to show how full circle these moments can be, that students, you all have very important voices, so always be creative thinkers and communicators, be people with respectful, open minds, always looking to learn.
We've been on this journey for some time. We're long overdue to be part of this journey, and a significant historic moment like this is a moment in time in that journey that's one to celebrate.
This is a very diversified school, and there's a lot of kids that would never ever be able to see a brand new school like this in their lifetime. But guess what? It's happening. It's going to be here, and they're part of that legacy.
If this is your first time in the space, welcome. And if this is your first time in this space in a while, welcome back.
So first of all, I have to say, I have not been to the Fuller Middle School. I can't wait to tour that because that looks amazing. They've done a great job over there. But I also want to say that, because of COVID, there was a question whether they would do the summer camp, and they ended up doing it with 60 students or 60 campers over a 4-week period. And, all I could say is I know that's a difficult challenge when you have kids that, you know, they've been cooped up and now they're going to be able to come out and engage in a camp. And they did a great job, they being both the school staff as well as Michael and Corinne, in making sure there was a curriculum that would entertain the kids as well as teach the kids. And a lot of them you saw in there having a good time with their masks on. And I just want to say that it's that type of programming and type of work that Michael and Corinne are doing for the Framingham Public Schools, who continually, just as Frank gets feedback from the nonprofits, we get it from the schools as well, as far as all that they do. And they rely on them quite a bit because they're the ones able to actually bring information to the schools as well as the community, and most importantly, for a lot of students, to their families. These are just a little smattering of programming that they had to find to keep the channel going during the COVID, really during the school year when the school closed, and then throughout the summer. And so they go through the process of actually researching educational program, informative program for the channel. This is also a smattering, because there's way more, of the productions that they did during COVID. And as you can see, a lot of them were live streamed. They were the technical support, but also we were able to deliver the high school graduation where, you know, obviously this is a major rite of passage for high school seniors. And, you know, the parents weren't going to be able to attend, and there was limited attendance. And we were able to actually record and stream it so that not only Framingham families could see it, but families from all over the world, based on streaming, to see their child or their cousin or their nephew or whomever, grandson or granddaughter, be able to graduate. And that was very special, and did the same for the middle school graduations as well. So it's that type of adapting that we did to make sure that we continue to be an asset and continue to bring information and entertainment to the Framingham community. And this last slide here is just, again, a sample of the community partnerships that we have that continue to rely on us, and we rely on their support. And we have great relationships that, you know, they appreciate. And I'm sure, you know, even though some citizens may not tell us, appreciate, simply because they find out about what these great organizations are doing, and they find out through us. And, you know, we should all be proud of that, because especially during the pandemic, I believe that we really help people through isolation and get information that was pertaining to their community. So moving forward, and hopefully without a pandemic, eventually, we look to explore virtual opportunities, because we did learn through this process that virtual is something that is going to stick around that we didn't really do before. I think that there's a good opportunity here to, you know, engage even further beyond just television. We've always wanted to get back to a community news program. That's something we're looking into. We have to see how things unfold as it relates to both staffing and our revenue. But it is something that will definitely anchor us in the community as a place to come and a place to go to see what's going on in the community. We obviously always want to increase community engagement and build new partnerships. And another major goal has been, and it always has been since I've been here, is the website. That seems to be the thing that we keep tweaking and trying to figure out. But we definitely want to improve the functionality and make it a great user interface for both visitors and members, so that, you know, in a situation like this, it's a place or a portal that people can communicate and get information and share information as well. So that's it for me for now. I thank all of you for all of your efforts over this last year and a half. I thank the board very much for holding it down, as they say, in my absence, in particular Audrey and Terry and Mahmoud and the rest of the board. You guys are volunteers, but the insights, the experience, the professional skill sets are all appreciated, all very valuable, and that's what makes us successful. So, you know, we appreciate all the effort and time that you guys put in as well. So I turn it back to you, Audrey, for the business at hand.
You know, before I get started talking about the business of the board, I want to talk first of all with a lot of gratitude about the work of the board members. I want to say that our board has been a working board. I am so proud of the work that we have done together, you know, how we've stepped up to fulfill some pretty big needs that had to be met, how we're looking at really raising the bar and evolving the organization for the future in this era. And I think that we've come together to do that. So I want to, you know, specifically say Mahmoud, Lindsay, Millie Gonzalez, Pam Richardson, Sean Cox, Shushil. Did I say Terry Banerjee? I did.
No, we didn't.
No, I didn't? Okay. The current board members that are here, I just want to tell you, you have all done a phenomenal job. You should be so proud of, you know, your commitment and the quality of the work. You know, I'm proud to be the president of the board working with you. I also want to take a moment to thank former board members who are with us here today, like Bill Rapkin and Carol Lack, Ed Council, Norma Schulman. You know, what that shows is that there's a passion here that hasn't gone away simply because these former board members are not on the board anymore. They are, they care about our mission. They care about the work that we do. They're interested, and that's why they're here with us today. And I want to thank you all for being here with us. I want to thank our current and past board members. And I want to just say that, you know, every year board members' terms expire based on when they come on. And, you know, sometimes board members have to move on, and sometimes board members want to continue on. So right now, where we are is there are 3 board members whose seats are expiring: Shushil Bhatia, Sean Cox, and Millie Gonzalez. And before we move to the next slide, I just want to say, Millie and Shushil, thank you so much. You've really made a positive impact on the board, and we're sorry that you'll be moving on, but we thank you sincerely for your service. Very grateful to Sean Cox and the skill set that she brings to the board, and for her interest in wanting to continue and serve a second term. And I have to all enlighten you that we are also very, very lucky to have a returning board member. Michael Cunningham served on the board back, I think it was 2006 to 2012 or that area. So he hasn't been on the board for about 9 years, but he has so much valuable expertise. He's still a producer here and a volunteer and a member. And he has a great technical background, and he's a Framingham resident. And Sean Cox, who is a local realtor and a very talented voiceover artist, and who has served on the board with a real focus on membership and a focus on communications. And I know she's going to bring all of that to a whole new level because she has the passion to do that. They are both very interested. Sean wants to continue and serve another term. Michael would like to come back. And I'm very grateful that we have a new board member candidate, Kathleen Sullivan. And Kathleen, who I always call Kathy, but Kathy works right now and has been working for 20 years at Boston College in media communications. And she brings an incredible skill set. She's had 2 children who've gone through, were raised in Framingham and are now, and I believe I'm going to let her tell you what she'd like to about herself. But she has a skill set that's going to be extremely valuable to us on the board as well. So right now, I just want to take some time to give each board member, each candidate, up to 2 minutes to just say a little bit about yourselves, because after you do, we're going to have an election for to fill 3 board seats, and you are 3 candidates. So people would love to hear a little bit about you. So Sean, since you are continuing on, but with let's hear from you first. And
Okay.
if we could do speaker view while Sean is speaking, that would be great. If not, we'll just, we'll leave this up and go ahead. Sean, thank you so much. You look great. You sound great. And thank you.
Okay. Well, I've lived in Framingham for 13 years. I live in District 8, and I've always been a volunteer in the communities that I've lived in. And in Framingham, I've done fundraising for the Amazing Things Art Center. And in fact, I wrote a grant for their Mylar flooring, which is still their performance area today. I even emceed at one of their shows a while back. I've also been a volunteer for the Danforth Museum, and I've served on a number of other boards elsewhere. I've really enjoyed serving this past year on the board, even though it was a crazy year. We just didn't know what to do for a long time, but we managed to get through it. And I'm seeking another term because I believe in the power of public access television as an important voice in our community. We are living in a changing world, though, in which we're going to have to be masterful in navigating the new landscape that we're in. And as a creative thinker, I want to be a part of how we go forward here at Access Framingham.
Thank you so much, Sean. And I just want to let everyone know that, next we'll hear from Michael, and then we'll hear from Kathleen, and then we'll talk about the voting. So Michael, you're up next. Thank you, Sean.
Hi, everybody. My name's Mike Cunningham. I've lived in Framingham for about 18 years. Before then, I first got in public access down in Plymouth with FPAC TV. And through the years, I've accumulated more than 1,000 hours of television that I've directed or produced on public access. Lately, I've been focused on, I had a show called Focus on Framingham that's kind of on hiatus right now. But I've also been doing a lot of candidate forums with like the League of Women Voters here in Framingham. And I did one recently with Sustainable Framingham as well. I'm hoping to rejoin the board to try to help with any like technical expertise, IT help, TV geek stuff, anything like that. I'm more than happy to assist with. And I'm also on the Cable Advisory Committee here in Framingham as well. So that's all I've got.
Mike, thank you so much. One of the things we want to do in the next year is really professionalize the organization of all of our IT. And I know that you'll be able to help us with that. And so I am grateful that you're interested in coming back and sharing your expertise with us. And now I'd like to introduce Kathleen Sullivan, as I said, who has been has worked for BC for 20 years and brings some incredible skills in writing and media relations and communications that I think will also be incredibly valuable here at FPAC. Kathleen?
Thank you, Audrey. Hi, everyone. Nice to join you tonight. As Audrey said, my name is Kathy Sullivan. I've lived in Framingham for 30 years, and I'm a communications professional with more than 25 years experience writing, media relations, websites, social media. And my past volunteer positions were primarily connected to my children's world. As Audrey mentioned, I'm a mom of two, and I was a Girl Scout troop leader. And for a number of years, I served on the marketing committee for my children's school, which was St. Bridget's School on Route 9 in Framingham. My children are grown now, the last one just graduated college, so I'm kind of looking to pivot some of my volunteer civic engagement to other organizations. And currently I'm a friend of the Framingham Library. For the past 2 years, I volunteered at have been volunteering at St. Patrick's Manor, a long-term care facility on Central Street, probably familiar with. And then when I heard about this opportunity, I thought it sounded like a good match between my interest in volunteering for my home community and then also my professional experience in communications and media. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you so much, Kathy. And I just want to mention to all of you that, the way this process works is that we have a nominating committee of the board of directors. That nominating committee was Mark Ainskow, Pam Richardson, and myself. Mark's not able to join us here tonight, and his job recently changed and he hasn't been able to attend a lot of the meetings, but Pam and I did work together on the nomination process. And we present you tonight with a slate of 3 candidates, each for a 3-year term. But as I move to the next slide, what I do want to show you is that, you do have the opportunity also to nominate somebody. If there's somebody else you'd like to nominate other than the people that are listed here on the board's on this slate, feel free at this moment. I'm going to give you a moment to enter anyone's name into the chat if you would like to nominate someone else. And I will give that about 30 seconds here. If anyone wants to nominate it, just put it to everyone and put a name in there if you want to make a nomination. I don't see any nominations, so I'm going to close the nominations right now and just ask one more time, is there anybody who would like to make any nominations? If there is, please speak up. Now, is there anyone here who is not a current paid member? Because I just want to mention to you that if you are not a current paid member, you are not eligible to vote. But if you are eligible to vote. And so what I'm going to do is ask that someone make a motion to move this slate of Sean Cox, Michael Cunningham, and Kathleen Sullivan to a vote to elect each of them to a 3-year term.
So moved.
Thank you, Terry. And Pam has seconded that. Okay. All right, that's great. So now that we were able to do that, I think what I'll do is I will just take a roll call vote and make sure that we're all covered. So Mahmood.
Aye.
Pam.
Aye.
Terry.
Yes.
Bill Rapkin.
Yes.
Shushil.
Yes.
Let's see. Carol Lack. Carol, are you a current member?
Yes, I am. Nice to see everybody.
Thank you, Carol.
And
yes.
My
thank you.
vote is yes.
Okay. Who am I missing? Ed Council.
Yes, for all three.
Thank you so much, Ed. Great to see you as well. Lindsay?
Yes.
Marcia. Hi, Marcia.
Hi, good evening. Nice to see everybody.
What is your vote, Marcia?
All three.
Thank you so much. And thank you for all you do.
Thank you very much. Thank you for all you do.
You are welcome. Millie Gonzalez.
Yes.
Thank you, Millie. We're going to miss you. Did I miss any current members in asking for your vote on this slate of 3 new board members? And if I did, please.
I think I can vote.
Oh, Michael, you can vote. You're a current member.
I'll vote yes.
Okay, great. Thank you for pointing that out. Anyone else?
Yes, I don't believe I voted yet. I'm Tammy Marcus. I vote yes.
Hi, Tammy. Thank you so much for all that you have done for us.
Oh, you're welcome. It's my pleasure.
Thank you. And thank you for your vote. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 10, and I will vote yes. That is 11. We have 11.
Audrey, you didn't ask me, so I will
sorry,
say yes.
Sean, I thought she did.
No, but I say yes.
Thank you. Anyone else that I left out?
Glenn Axelrod here. I vote yes.
Glenn. Thank you, Glenn. Any other members? Okay. All right. Well, congratulations to Sean Cox, Michael Cunningham, and Kathy Sullivan, our new board members. Thank you for your willingness to serve, and congratulations on your election to the board of Framingham Public Access Corporation. Our first meeting with you on board will be next Monday. Well, it's Monday, October 4th, I believe is the date. And it will be at 6:30 p.m. via Zoom. And we look forward to starting to conduct business with you. At this point in time, I am going to turn it back to Scott Mercer for a very important acknowledgement of the Bill Rapkin Member Volunteer of the Year Award.
All right, so every year we do like to acknowledge a member volunteer who engages in the organization in a way that makes a major contribution and represents the community engagement through their willingness to contribute to productions. And again, this was a challenging year, so there weren't many ways to volunteer. But this year's winner was a person who consistently and safely volunteered on several productions and did a lot of editing during these challenging times. So here's a clip to announce it just to make it more fun, I think. And here is the Bill Wrapkin Award Member Volunteer of the Year. love the look. I
I
love the surprise.
Yeah, I enjoy that immensely. So yes.
So say a few words, Tammy. We just really do appreciate everything you did, and congratulations. And again, thank you so much for your volunteer work and the hours you put in.
Oh, absolutely. It's my absolute pleasure. I've told some of you, I love video. It's my passion. I do other things to pay the bills, but video is definitely where my heart is. I did the concert in the Green in 2019, and I enjoyed it so much. I was devastated, obviously, when we couldn't do it in 2020. So it was great to get back out there this year. Just enjoyed it immensely. Even I told Frank, even if I have to wear a mask, I will come in and edit, just because I love it so much. So yeah, I've thoroughly enjoyed doing it this year. And we will see what next year brings.
Thank you. And I'm glad you were surprised, and I love the look. I can't wait to look back at the recording because you were legitimately surprised. So again, I look forward to, like you said, getting back out there as we get through this pandemic. And I just want to say to everybody, before I give it back to Audrey, this is the best way to get involved. Contact us, engage, call for questions. Anything you saw here tonight and you want to follow up on, please, again, I say take a picture or screen grab, whatever you call it today. And that's the best way to get in touch with us. So back to you, Audrey.
Okay, well, I do want to say, first of all, that every single person in this Zoom meeting tonight makes a contribution to Access Framingham TV. And I want to thank you all very much for bringing your hearts and souls to what we do, for believing in the mission, for knowing that our goal of keeping the community connected and providing the community with information and doing it because there's a need and not because there's a profit is the motivation that, like Tammy just said, that keeps us all coming back. And that really means a lot. It means that you're here because you care. The employees who every day are at it, taking care of the community, and the producers and bringing that information and programming together, thank you all very much. You are greatly appreciated. And I just want to say that it's a pleasure working with all of you. There are times when, people don't know who we are. And I say, how could that even be possible? And I think this year we're going to make fewer and fewer people unaware of Access Framingham and let them know that this incredibly valuable resource exists here in their community, and we want them to be a part of it. Before I do close, though, the meeting for this year, I would like to give each of you the opportunity to ask a question if you have any questions. And if you do, Terry, I see your hand up, so why don't we start with you?
Well, I would like to thank you and Mahmoud especially, because without you, I don't think we would have gotten through this year. You've been fabulous, fantastic, over the top. And that's not, the whole board has been good, but I have to give kudos to you two, especially.
And I totally agree with that. Thank you, Terry, for bringing it up. Absolutely. And in spite of the difficulty Scott had, he has come through very well. Scott,
Yes, he
well
has.
done. Yes.
Thank you. And Shushil, we will miss you. We will miss Millie. Thank you again for your service. Thank you for making us laugh and giving us a different perspective. And Terry, I don't do any of this alone. And either, you have been my right-hand person as vice president, and Mahmoud, I couldn't have done a lot of it without him. I have such a high level of confidence that our finances are in order because Mahmoud will not let a T go uncrossed or an I go undotted. So I appreciate that. I'm excited about what lies ahead. So again, I just want to thank all of you. I want to congratulate those of you who are joining us. Those of you who've served in the past, I want to thank you and thank you for your ongoing commitment and interest. And with that, I will bring the annual meeting of the Framingham Public Access Corporation to a close.